I want to say hello and welcome to our very, very special It's Motivational Monday show here on This Morning with Soulivity. We are so glad you're here. We're broadcasting live from our studio right here in the nation's capital of the United States, Washington, D.C., and on KMET 1490 AM radio in Southern California. My name is Brian Wesley Johnson, and I am joined today by my very, very special friend, colleague, cohort, just amazing co-host, Teresa Greco. Good morning, Teresa.
Good morning, Brian, and good morning, everyone.
As I said before, it's a motivational Monday, and we're going to be talking about inspirational stories from all over the world today. But before we begin, I want to remind everybody that this is an interactive show. And so you are part of our audience, but you're also part of this whole conversation. So during the show, if you have any questions or comments or thoughts, just post them directly to our YouTube or Facebook channels, and we'll get you in on this particular conversation. So, Teresa, my question to you is, before we get into some of these stories, is was there anything that kind of brought you real motivation over the last few weeks? I mean, can you remember like one instance of something that really inspired you?
I think that the people that I hang out with, and this is super important, that we surround ourselves with people that motivate us, inspire us, encourage us, support us, love us, do all wonderful things in that when you are constantly surrounded by that and you feel uplifted and you feel encouraged yourself to take action in positive ways versus the negative. So we know that, one of the ways that we can implement change and have it stick is to surround ourselves with those type of people. So if we're trying to maybe integrate exercise into our lives, that having a friend or someone close that can say, hey, you coming to the gym today? We don't feel like it, right? But that's how important it is to surround ourselves with like-minded people, like yourself for me. And when you see the amazing things that those around us are doing, you're like, hey, I need to do some of that. Or, hey, I need to, get back on, is it back on the ball? I love idioms, but I get them wrong. Everybody knows that about me. I love them, but back on the horse or something. Not that I'm off the horse.
Right.
It's just like, let me just gallop a little faster there.
Right.
And so, I'm just gonna say that it's those around me. They are so inspiring, and and they encourage and support me also to do the things that I'm doing. So thank you for asking.
For me, I remember it was either this weekend or middle of the week where I love spelling bees. And it was like the end of the spelling bee. And of course, it gets down to the last two people, right? Someone has to make a mistake, right? And what was so cool was the one student tried to spell the word. They got it wrong. And then the other person knew how to spell it, so they got it right. But they didn't push the person who was the other one away. They actually grabbed them and held them on stage with them, so that they got celebrated too as as the runner-up. Like, listen, it's just a word. You just missed one. You shouldn't feel like crap because you misspelled a word, right?
Mm,
And so it was so cool. It was really, really,
nice.
really so cool. And it's those little moments, right, that
Mhm,
kind of
mhm.
can make you really feel better about our world, about yourself, and kind of maybe even pull you out of a funk if you're in a
Yes.
funk. So that's what we're doing today. We're having this motivational Monday, and so let's get to our first story, shall we?
Yes, please.
So this is a story out of comes from KAWC out of Arizona. And I'll hide that so people can really see the thing here. And it reads like this: Growing up in Yuma, Arizona, Rodrigo Guzar Jr. crossed the southern border almost every weekend to visit his grandparents. He could see that the infrastructure in their village was very different, and it sparked his interest in becoming a civil engineer. Now, his parents didn't finish high school, and Gazar was determined to study engineering. So, what he did was he joined the College Knowing and Growing program led by Education Forward in Arizona and learned how to complete college and scholarship applications, all while taking dual enrollment classes. And on May 26th of this year, he graduated from high school and in the fall will attend Columbia University. Woo. Now, he plans on specializing in hydrology so he can create reliable and sustainable water infrastructure in the Mexican village where his mother was raised and try to tackle water shortages plaguing Arizona. Wow.
Mhm, mhm.
That is awesome. So
Very
here's
cool.
a kid, here's a kid, I can't even call him a kid. Here's
Mhm.
a young man who saw the need for where his mother was raised, where his grandparents are, and decided to do something about it by making it a passion for himself and then create a purpose so that he could create sustainable water supplies for people who are in, you know, underserved and disadvantaged neighborhoods. It's pretty cool, right?
Totally cool, yeah, and this is why the younger generation is it's untarnished,
Right,
right? That they come into this world as blank slates, and they see a world full of possibilities.
right,
Whereas
right.
we've been tarnished where we're like, well, that's not going to work out because,
Things will never change.
right, right. And they come in and they're like, no, they only see the possibilities. That's
Right.
why I think hanging out with younger people, like me being an educator, I'm so lucky that I have the ability not only through my own kids, but with the ones that I work with, because I do technology training primarily with those that have special needs in some respect.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
so I have a, a very, I think, a wonderful position to make a huge difference. But also, I recognize that the students come into this world with this desire to want to make a big difference in any way that they can, and they don't allow society or maybe some of the things that he overcame to stop him for what he wanted to do.
Mm. What's cool is um uh Rodrigo is not the only person in his family in terms of this first generation. He and his sister will be attending Columbia together. So
Mm.
both he and his sister are first generation high school graduates and college attendees.
Mhm.
So I mean, just that's just amazing, 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 amazing.
And
And that's just what this is all about, right? I mean, like you said, I think this generation that is out here, they just saw what what change needed to happen. And so they decided to make it happen. And the only thing that was stopping them was education. So like, I'm going to get educated on how to solve this problem and solve it.
Mhm.
And it's as simple as that. I mean, you know, the world, these problems aren't too big to solve. And especially the fact that it's with a loved one too, Teresa.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, these are people that he loved, especially his grandparents. I mean, you know, I think what's so cool about this particular story as well is the fact that he has a personal connection to the outcomes of the people of that village,
Mm-hmm.
and that there should be a way for them to have affordable, efficient, clean water, which is a cornerstone of life, by the way, everyone.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Food, water, and shelter. You know, you don't have one of those, it's hard to sustain life. So,
And to
wow.
think, and to think that there are still parts of this planet where people don't have that, right? I
Hmm.
encountered a story last week, actually, of an organization called Water for People, and
Hmm.
it is working in 9 different countries right now, helping
Wow.
people to get a clean water because they still have to travel far
Hmm.
distances
Hmm.
with containers to
Hmm.
go and fetch that. A big part of, like, of their day is just
Hmm.
going to get water. And so when
Wow.
I read that story, I was like, here we are in first world, talking about particular things
Hmm. Hmm.
when there are still people that have to travel far distances, that they don't have a tap just to turn on and
Wow.
get water, that hours are spent just going to get water. And I'm like, wow, it just really does put things into perspective of the
Absolutely.
the privileges and the niceties and the things that we're blessed with that
Hmm.
we don't even think about. We are
No.
taking for granted.
Absolutely. 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 Totally, 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 totally agree. Um, um, and it's why, again, this Gen X, or Gen Z, I should say, well, Gen X and Gen Z generations, they never cease to amaze me in terms of their ability to have higher consciousness around our world, making
Mhm,
everyone feel that they matter, right? And I know
mhm,
it's not perfect and all that, but man, they're going light years. It reminds me of the generation of here in America, where you had the civil rights movement when they were all young, they were all babies,
mm.
and they were affecting this huge change in this country. So, way to go, Rodrigo! And thanks to KAWC in Arizona for that story, as well as all these stories are coming from the news.com. So, thank you to the news.com. So, listen, we're going to take a break. And when we come back, we're going to talk more about Motivational Monday stories, including something out of Sweden around sustainable textiles. So we'll be right back with more of This Morning with Soulivity. Hey there, this is Brian with Soulivity.com. I want to share some exciting news about our new Aspire Academy by Soulivity. Now, you probably want to know what the Aspire Academy by Soulivity is. Well, it exclusively connects you with people around the globe and who share the intense desire to improve themselves and create a better life for themselves today. There's classes, there's workshops, there's live events, and even more exclusively just for you. You see, I wanted you to have a safe space where you could grow, you can learn, and it would empower you in all aspects of your life, including your mind, your body, and your soul. So, how do you get started? Well, it is so easy. First of all, the best part, joining Aspire Academy is absolutely free. Just click on the Join Now button, sign up, and begin your journey. As a special part of this invitation to you, there are some free courses that are available for you to try from our amazing roster of coaches and collaborators. It's our way of saying thank you for all of your support and being with us along our journey of expansion. I hope you enjoyed the Aspire Academy by Soulivity today. Start the process. Learn more about your passion, your purpose, and how to live a higher quality life. And welcome back to This Morning with Soulivity. It's Motivational Monday, and we are talking about stories from around the world. But Teresa, you had something that you wanted to say that's
Yes.
very special.
Brian, I just want to thank you and express gratitude for you and what we're doing today here on Motivational Monday, that we are sharing stories that would not necessarily make maybe the mainstream news, let's say, because they're positive stories.
Yeah,
As
yeah,
we know.
yeah.
In the media, a lot of people like, I don't watch the news, or
Right.
I don't listen to the news because it's always negative stories. It's
Yeah,
it's everything that's going wrong
yeah.
with humanity,
Right.
and wrong with the planet. And so this is why your show is so different. The show is so different because we want to change that,
Yeah,
and that it's important that we take time to highlight what is going right, that humanity in different ways is doing good things for each other and for the planet. And we need to be listening to these things because even subconsciously it affects how we think, how we act,
yes,
how we
yes,
respond
yeah,
in situations when we're like, oh yeah, like, and sometimes we don't even realize about how it really infiltrates. There's a whole psychology around how what we listen to affects us, even in unconscious ways.
absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you for that. Thank you for
Thank
that.
you. Thank you.
Because I totally agree with you that when we are bombarded by negativity and news stories, and everything is about murder and deception and all that kind of
Mhm.
stuff, which sometimes is important for us to know about factually, but there's got to be a balance. There's got to
Yes.
be other information that we bring into our consciousness. So thank
Yes.
you for that, Teresa.
Well, thank you
Listen.
for.
Oh, all right. So why don't we move on to our next Motivational Monday story? This story comes out of Sweden. Um, and it reads, it takes 713 gallons of water to make one cotton shirt. And globally, the production of textile fibers and apparel creates 110 million metric tons of waste every year. And there's a new material called circulose is a sustainable solution. At the Rinwell plant in Sunville, Sweden, old clothes are dissolved and processed into a substance that looks like white cardboard, feels like watercolor paper, and most importantly, can be spun into yarns for textile manufacturers. This is from the Christian Science Monitor. Now, Rinwell is the world's first industrial scale textile recycling plant, and several brands, including Levi Strauss and Zara, are using circulose. From an environmental perspective, it means that every year, instead of huge swaths of forest being cut down, millions of old jeans and t shirts are being used rather than them degrading into methane in the landfill. This is from Nicole Rycroft, director of environmental nonprofit Canopy, as she told the Christian Monitor. Now, how cool is that?
So cool. So cool. Again, Brian, these stories, like the news, even when I do watch the news is an opportunity for gratitude the
Yeah,
whole time for
right.
me. right? That
Right.
even when I am listening to the negative content, I'm like, thank God for my life. Thank God for the safety of my kids. Thank God
Right.
for my home. Thank God for like the weather that we have, where I live. Thank God. Like the whole thing is just a thank you, thank you, thank you for my life.
Right.
And listening to this going, wow, when have we ever been so thankful for the items that we wear? I mean,
Right.
the beginning of the story was how much water goes into the production of our clothing
Hmm.
that we don't like we totally take for granted.
Yeah, I'm going to put this story specifically in our chat because one thing about it that I think people don't understand, and why this is so important to, our world, climate change, for instance, it's all connected. In the story, it talks about that the Aral Sea, which was once the world's fourth largest lake, dried up almost completely, drained by the cotton fields in Uzbekistan and Kazakhstan, because it takes almost 2,700 liters of water to produce one cotton shirt. That's as much as a person can drink over 2.5 years, right?
Right, right. So we don't even we nobody knows about these facts,
No,
that
no,
this much of our resources go into the clothing that we wear, that maybe we wear at one time
right,
and we just chuck it aside.
right.
Right?
Exactly. I mean,
Wow.
they talk about viscose rayon, which is made from tree wood, and it sometimes comes from ancient forests. And Miss Rycroft of Canopy, the person who I was talking about before, who's the director of environmental, the nonprofit, points out that it takes. She points to 300 million trees are cut down yearly just to make that form of rayon amongst the other textiles, and that the
Wow.
consumption is slated to double within the next decade. Now, what's crazy about that is climate change is directly connected to the amount of trees that we have. The
Mhm.
trees, take they are
Mhm.
basically the filtering system
Mhm.
of our
Mhm.
planet, right? They take in the carbon dioxide and other things that are, that we either breathe out or from other,
Mhm.
automobiles or whatever, and they turn them into oxygen, right?
Mhm.
Which creates the delicate balance that needs to
Mhm. Mhm.
sustain our atmosphere. Well, if you keep cutting down the trees,
But to make clothing that we have, a bin nearby,
yes,
right, where people
yes,
bring their unwanted clothing items and
yep,
some other things, right?
yep, yep.
That bin is full every week.
See,
And I'm like, wow, look how many things that people don't want.
right,
Where do those things go?
right,
Right? Where do
right,
they go? We don't know. Do they end up in the hands of someone else? We hope
right.
that it ends up in the hands of like someone else who could use it. But what about if it doesn't? What about if it lands in the landfill, as it says here in this story,
Right.
instead of being able, like, this is so important. And Sweden is really one of those forerunners. Do you know that
Yes.
most of their government vehicles are all being powered on what they call biogas,
Yep. There you go.
and that they have it's plant waste that's
Hmm.
converted into usable diesel, and all of their government vehicles are all being powered on that. So
Wow.
there is amazing things coming out of there that
Hmm.
the rest of the world, that again, you and me here in North America, why haven't we implemented some of these things?
Well, and to that point, before we go to break here, um, why is this the world's first industrial
Mhm.
textile recycling plant? Right?
Mhm.
Why is this the first? Why aren't there other ones around the world, especially here in the United States, right?
Mhm.
Um, that's an interesting question. I'd like
Mhm.
to, like, maybe even dive into that a little bit deeper with maybe I'll reach out to Miss Rycroft and actually bring her on the show, because I'd really love to find out more
Mm.
information about that.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, we don't talk enough about
Mm-hmm.
the environmental cost that
Yes.
it takes and humanistic cost that it takes for us to have clothes on our backs,
Yeah.
right? So more to
Crazy.
come, more to come. Listen, everyone, this is just our second story on our motivational Monday. There's more, there is absolutely more to come. And when we come back, we're going to be talking about this community that came together to ensure this one beautiful cafe could continue to serve free breakfast to people who are
Love it.
underserved. So we're going to talk about that. We'll be right back with more of This Morning with Soulivity in about 60 seconds.
Hi there, Sheila Applegate here with some exciting news. I've joined the incredible Soulivity team as the host of the new Consciously Awesome live show, where I will be sharing insights to help you discover your full brilliance and claim the vibrant life you deserve. So, tune in every Wednesday right here on Soulivity TV to join the fun, and remember to subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss a single episode. Have an awesome week, and I will see you on Wednesday.
Fantastic, Sheila. Got another great Consciously Awesome Living show coming up on Wednesday at noon. You do not want to miss that. She's going to be talking about, I have to look that up. I think she's going to be talking about um, imagination on Wednesday. So anyway, we are back with more of our Motivational Monday, where we are talking about great news stories from around the world to kind of get your week off to a great start. And this next story comes from Berkeley, California. It was in the Washington Post. It's about a community that came together to ensure that a cafe could continue to serve free breakfast. And it reads, the Homemade Cafe's mission is written on its front door: everybody eats. When Colin Duran bought the Berkeley, California eatery in 2011, he decided that anyone who came in and couldn't afford food would receive a free breakfast. Thousands of people have taken him up on his offer, and after helping so many for so long, it was Duran who needed some assistance last fall. He had used his entire savings to pay employees during the pandemic and was struggling. His customers used GoFundMe to raise more than $30,000 for the restaurant, ensuring that Homemade Cafe could continue to serve free meals. Duran told the Washington Post he believes society is only as good as its poorest person. To me, food is love. I feel good when I go home at night, knowing I helped provide a meal to someone who needed one. Everyone deserves to eat. Woo, woo. Tearing up on that one. Wow. Wow. That's amazing. So here's a guy, just to kind of summarize this again. Here's a guy who bought this cafe, whose purpose and mission as part of his restaurant was, if you couldn't afford to eat something in there, you got a free breakfast. I mean, if you came in the morning and you couldn't afford it, he would give you a free breakfast, and that he helped thousands of people eat. And then when the pandemic hit, and he again, think about this, everyone. He went into his own pocket and savings to make sure that all of his employees had money during the pandemic, to the point at which he started to struggle, and the community that he served came back around and supported him in not only the business, but to make sure that people could eat during that time, and after that time. And my guess is his business is doing fantastic. Something about it. There's something about, it's one of our tenets here. I
Yeah.
mean, we have several. I mean, everybody knows about passion, purpose, living, which we believe are the three keys to begin to create your best life. But there's other ones like do good, live well, right?
Mhm.
Here's an example of someone who in this business model was going to do good,
Mhm.
period,
Mhm.
whatever it cost him, and the good came back to him.
I love
What
it.
you put out, it comes
Yeah,
back. I mean, Teresa, I mean, I
that's what
know
I
you
was
got,
thinking.
yeah, I
Like
know
what
you
a karma story.
got, right, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. I mean, amazing, 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 amazing. You know,
And we don't often hear about, right? Again, these amazing individuals who are making a difference, helping other human beings in
right,
times of need,
right.
selflessly.
Mm, mm, mm.
It's powerful.
Yeah, I mean, just to give everybody a little bit more detail about Mr. Duran, who's just, again, you know, we all can be saints, and he was a saint during this time. He had $200,000 in his savings account, and he drained it to keep his
Mhm.
employees paid for 2 years during the pandemic.
Mhm.
That's the level of commitment that he has for his employees.
Mhm.
And that when the people came out, they raised $30,000 to keep free breakfasts going and that kind of thing. Um, um, and you know, now he's doing um, this thing where um, since this past January, for every $5 donated by a customer, Duran has posted a free meal ticket on a bulletin board in his diner to be used by anyone who is hungry. And he says that the $5 is enough to help cover the cost of the eggs anyway breakfast served with potatoes, toast, and coffee. But on the days we run out of tickets, we keep serving free meals anyway. Nobody should go hungry. This is the right thing to do.
Mhm.
And he said and then he said also, um, this year he said he decided to put up an everybody eats sign on the homemade cafe's front door and make his free breakfast plan more official. He said, I wanted anyone walking by to know that they could get a free hot meal here, noting that about 5 to 10 people now pick up a meal ticket from the bulletin board each day. So remember, those meal tickets come from people donating money so that people can eat.
Mhm. Mhm. I just got goosebumps
Yeah, I did too.
all
I
over.
mean, so
Yeah.
the community, this is a man who came together. Ooh, I got goosebumps again. This is a man who came together and with the community to help feed people in their community that were hungry. One
And
last thing on here. This is the historic context. He said, I started working here in 1999. And when the opportunity came to buy the cafe, I took it. It's always been a great little gathering spot for the neighborhood. He said he was inspired by the Black Panther Party. I'm going to repeat that because I know a lot of people talk about the Black Panthers like they were bad folks. No, they were just trying to fight against injustice. He was inspired by the Black Panther Party to keep hungry people in his community fed. He said in 1969, the Black Panthers started a free breakfast program in Oakland that was adopted nationwide. They knew that change could only be made through action, and that's what I'm doing here now.
mm,
Woo!
nice, nice. One line in what you read that really stuck out for me was when you read that he said it was the right thing to
Thing to
do.
do.
The
Yes.
right thing
Thing
to
to
do.
do.
But how many people think like that about daily actions? It was the right thing to do
Yes.
that you let someone in when you're driving and they need to merge in, right?
Right.
It was a right thing to do
Do.
to let them come in instead of, trying to squeeze them out. It
Right.
was the right thing to do, that when somebody gave you, maybe some extra change when you bought something,
Right.
and to say, well, sorry, you gave me the wrong change, here's some extra
Get
money
some money
back.
back.
Right? It
Right.
was the right thing to do when you held the door so that somebody behind you could come in. Right? It was the
Right.
right thing to
Thing to
do. Like,
do.
Brian, I feel like there's just basic things every day that when I observe, out the grocery store, while I'm driving, like, human interactions, it's
Absolutely.
like the right thing to do just isn't
Right.
happening.
Right. 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 Well,
And
they
so,
are happening. We don't hear
yes,
about
thank
them.
you. Yeah,
And
thank
so that's what Motivational Monday is all about, right?
they
Where
are
everybody can hear
happening.
these stories and get
Yeah.
inspired,
Yes.
and that the world isn't as grim as we
Yeah.
believe it to be,
Yes.
right?
Thank you for these. Yeah.
So, listen, we're going to take another break, and we've got a very heartwarming story to tell you about a grandmother and a grandson and their travels around the United States. So, we'll be back in about 60 seconds.
Are you ready to take that first step towards true, unwavering inner happiness? Are you like thousands of people who have everything they need, not want, but need, and still can't seem to find happiness and fulfillment in their lives? If so, the Steps to Happiness show is for you. On my show, you will learn about the principles and practices that lead to true inner happiness. Because guess what? It isn't found in our external environment, but within ourselves instead. Together with my guests, we will explore the latest physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual well-being practices. And together, we'll advise you on the actionable steps you can take towards a happier, more fulfilled, authentic life. So I invite you to join me each week on Soulivity TV on the Steps to Happiness show with me, Teresa Greco.
Hey, Teresa Greco. Yeah, coming up this Thursday, another Steps to Happiness at 12 noon. You're going to be talking about happiness from the inside out with other happiness coach, Robert Mack. That is such a great episode. I can't wait to see that
Really
one
is.
again. Wow, this is Motivational Monday. We've been talking about these fantastic stories from around the world, and we're here up to our last story of the day, which I thought is so appropriate because it's about family, and it's about this grandson and his grandmother that decided to visit every single national park in the United States together. And so it reads, this comes from CBS News, and it reads, when Brad Ryan learned that his 93-year-old grandmother, Joy Ryan, had never seen mountains, the ocean, or a desert, he knew that had to change. He took her on a trip to the Great Smoky Mountains National Park in 2015 and couldn't stop thinking about her seeing the Grand Canyon and Old Faithful. They decided to visit all 63 U.S. national parks and reached their final stop in May, the National Park of American Samoa, 6,700 miles away from their homes in Ohio. Excuse me, everybody. A little water here. This story's kind of choking me up a little bit. So they went to the National Park of American Samoa, which was the last one, which was 6,700 miles away from their homes in Ohio. Joy and Brad were greeted by rangers who gave them certificates marking the end of their national park journey. The rangers also shared with them that in this beautiful tropical paradise, there is an island community that is very firmly rooted in family, Brad told CBS News. He went on to say, and I think there's a bit of poetic beauty to ending it there as well.
How cool is that?
I mean, isn't that what life is all about?
Right. And that she started at 93.
Yes.
That's I was like 93 because
Yes.
I saw the story right before we talked about it.
Yes.
But she was 93. Like if you look at this woman, I don't know if you want to
Yes.
put it in the chat too. If you
Yes.
look at her, you're like, yeah, how is she 93? Because if you know of any 93-year-olds, I worked in a long-term care facility for
Mhm.
10 years while I was going through school. And there aren't that many 93-year-olds that look as good as this woman. But I think that going on a trip like this with her grandson is incredible on a whole bunch of levels, which I'm sure we're going to
Right?
talk about. But
Right?
just on the physical level, I'm like,
Right.
wow, check her out. And this is invigorating. Like
Oh, yeah.
she could probably attest that, maybe at first she might have thought, well, how am I going to do all of this? I don't know. She seems like maybe she did. Maybe she waited her whole life to be able to do something like this and was super pumped. But I'm sure as she went along, she just got younger and
Right?
younger, in a whole bunch of ways.
Uh, she said that she told CBS News that before this, all the traveling she had done was to the fishing hole. She said every winter my
Oh,
husband would take me to Okeechobee and we fished, and that was the extent of my wandering. Right? But she looks fabulous. She looks great.
I know.
I mean, she really, really looks great. And here's another beautiful thing. This might bring tears to both of our eyes, Teresa. She said, this is from Brad, the grandson. He said, we hit the road together and we started talking about our lives. And she told me things in her 80s and 90s about her life, some of the difficult things that she had been through that she's never spoken to anybody in her life. And I was able to open up to her about some of the trials and tribulations of my own life. That's what I think was so powerful about the
Mhm.
open road. It's that you only can drive so far before those memories start to move forward.
Beautiful. And
Right?
and that was like the time that I spent with my grandparents growing up too. That's why I am choking.
Yeah,
Just
right.
put me in a spot. I'm like, yeah, it does. Because these were the conversations that, again, because I grew up in working in the in the long-term care facility, I heard a lot
Yes.
of amazing stories. And then I was close with my grandparents too. And so we would also have those discussions of like what life was like for them before like coming here to
Right.
Canada.
Right.
My parents too, also immigrants to this country. So that first story that we shared, I'm like, yeah, I'm first generation, also educated, university, all of that. So there was a lot of like similarities to that. And then also similarities to this story, in that I loved hearing about, what their life was like before all the conveniences. And that again, this is opportunity for gratitude for the life that I have today because of the
Yes.
efforts of those that came before me, in my own family, but just even at large. And that we don't, like the younger generation doesn't know about what life was like before the world today.
Hmm.
And spending time with them is so precious, to be able to hear about that time and what life was like. And I think it's beautiful that they were able to have that time that maybe they wouldn't have had they not decided to do this together.
Absolutely.
It's beautiful.
We'll end this last story with this last bit from the story. Actually, it's in it. We put it in the chat for you, but please go out and read that. And Brad says she has already lived from a place of gratitude and joy, and that's a choice that she made. That's a power that we all have, and a choice that we can all have. And I think that that's been my greatest lesson, and I think there's really no end in sight for Grandma Joy. Meanwhile, Joy offered insight on living a long life. She said, I thank the Lord every morning for giving me another day. And it's your choice whether you're going to have a grumpy day or a sunny day. So smile at everybody, and let everybody know you're having a whale of a time. Wow. Thank you, Grandma Joy. What a beautiful name, too.
It's
Um,
perfect.
I know. Ooh, that kind of choked me up a little bit. Listen, we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we'll have some final thoughts about this Motivational Monday with both of us in about 60 seconds. So we'll be right back, everybody, with more of This Morning with Soulivity. We work so hard sometimes. Isn't it time for a break? Take a walk or enjoy nature or maybe a leap or a ride or even a dip. Spending time with a friend or some time alone. Whatever it is, always spend time growing and learning with a Soulivity weekend. Every Saturday at 10 a.m. Eastern, right here on Soulivity TV. And we're back with more of This Morning with Soulivity. You can catch my show, Soulivity Weekend, at Saturdays at 10 a.m. I'll be talking with actress Christy Ferris of the great hit show on BET called Monogamy. And it's going to be a great interview. We spent about 45 minutes, an hour together talking about a wide ranging things, including about our belief system. So you don't want to miss that. Wow, this has been a fantastic show. I'm going to go to some final thoughts from you, Teresa.
For me, it would be also just riding on the coattail. I think that's it.
Yeah, right.
Of those
Bring it home now.
those last lines from our last story, which I feel is interwoven into all of the stories that we shared today, how important it is for us to practice gratitude.
Absolutely.
Gratitude is, research has shown it directly correlated with happiness, that the more grateful we are, the happier we feel. And so I encourage people today to find those little things. It's not about the big things, it's the little things that are happening around us. And I'm going to say within us as well, that we need to be grateful for and show that appreciation, because it will lighten your mood. It will raise your energy and vibration. And immediately we start feeling better as soon as we start to focus on the things that are going right in our lives and in our world. That helps us to feel better about ourselves and our lives. And then we take that and it just emanates out to everyone that we meet. So gratitude is something that not only serves us, but then ultimately serves everyone that we interact with. So important.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. You kind of took the words out of my own mouth. Make sure, everyone, that you find a source, maybe with soulivity.com or some other source of news media that you have in your life, maybe books, that you're bringing some positivity into your world about stories of other people around the world. If you're inundated with all the negativity, it's not going to help you at all. You need to have the balance. So make sure that you create that balance for yourself. So thanks again. Thanks, Teresa, for that.
Thank you.
Time to do some Soulivity shameless plugs, some SSPs. Um, Teresa, you have a fantastic offer that you're giving people around your 6 weeks to mental freedom course. Can you tell people a little bit about this?
This is an incredible opportunity because it's being offered for the first time here on Soulivity in Aspire Academy, that it is being offered at an incredible discount for that very first cohort of participants. It is being capped off at it should be 6. I might extend it to 8 if I need to. So it's a very small number of people that are being selected. And so I really encourage you to check out what we will be learning in the 6 weeks. It is a program that basically gives you tools every week. There is a tool that allows you to apply that tool to different situations that come up in our lives to give us more mental freedom so that our mind isn't thinking about, how it's like reframing situations so that instead of looking at them always in maybe a negative way and a hurtful way towards yourself and others, it gives you a way of taking situations and applying a tool to really give you more happiness ultimately, but more mental freedom.
I love that. Love that. Love that. Listen, you can find out more about the 6-week course, as well as you can sign up by visiting Teresa's Soulivity page. The link is also in our chats, and it's right here at soulivity.com/Teresa-Gecko. So learn more about that, everybody. You will, this isn't going to last long. So you want to make sure that you learn more about that today and sign up and register. You will not regret any of it. Plus, Teresa's so much fun to be around. I want to be around her all the time. Well, listen, we're at the end of our show. Thanks, Teresa, for being here for our Motivational Monday. Appreciate your thoughts. You are also inspiring as well. So you help us motivate and keep us pushing toward the life that we deserve. That's our birthright, which is a best life today.
Thank you.
Listen, remember, everyone, we want you to follow us on social media and join our mailing list. You'll get access to exclusive ideas and announcements about our giveaways, as well as exclusive content. That's at soulivity.com. Just go to soulivity.com/this morning for more information, or follow us on any of the major social media platforms as well. Listen, on behalf of all of us, myself, Teresa, I want to say thanks for joining us for another episode of This Morning with Soulivity. We hope that you come back and join us every weekday at 8 a.m. Eastern for the live broadcast, or listen at 9 a.m. Pacific time on Thursdays and Fridays on KMET 1490 a.m. for all of you on the West Coast. Until next time, keep having real conversations with passion and purpose, and create a life full of high quality living today. We'll see you next time.
This work is subject to copyright owned by Affinity Global LLC. Any reproduction or republication of all or part of this is expressly prohibited unless Affinity Global LLC has explicitly granted its prior written consent. All other rights reserved.